Hey, what up, though, people? Welcome back. It is Wake Up Woodward. We got to talk about these Detroit Pistons, man. Go on ahead, chat family, and smash that like button for the Woo crew and for those Detroit Tigers. But, JB Smooth, you have that video. I want people to just kind of feel a sense of what was going on at the end of that game. It's the post-game video right before we head to the press conference.
Oh, yep, I got you.
Yeah, because you can hear
94-93. Pistons look like they're not trying to leave the court. Controversial ending right now, man. Look like some fouls, some contact. The refs let it go. Pistons are going down 3-1. Let me know what you think about it. We're about to go to the press conference to talk about it. Spike Lee on the way out of here now, man. Wow. What a game, man. What a game. Let me know what you think. It's going to be tough for these Pistons to pull this one out now.
And I don't know if you guys could see the court, but the players were still on the floor. Like, they were like, the Pistons weren't trying to leave the court. This was after some time. Like, we were waiting around like, okay, what happened? Are they reviewing it? What is going on? And so I said, all right, let me just go on ahead and record this video and get on. And you could hear the fans. The New York Knicks fans obviously were going crazy. Spike Lee, shout out to him. No, you know what? Not shout out to him. Going absolutely insane for his New York Knicks win. And obviously Pistons fans have felt robbed, and they get the ability to feel robbed. They should. They showed up and they were absolutely insane. That environment in LCA was oh, goodness gracious, man. The energy was something I haven't heard in a long time at a Pistons game. I'm talking about over a decade at a Pistons game. So shout out to Detroit for showing up and showing out, supporting these Pistons and giving everything that as us as fans, supporters, and media that people could have given for this team to be able to have an opportunity. And they battled. Oh, yeah. But there were some things that cost them in this game, including, the referees said they did miss a big call on Tim Hardaway, but there were other things they could have done, even though they're facing an uphill battle, to stave off going down 3-1.
There is a lot to talk about with this game. I think the reason why, because I hate to be like a blame the refs guy. And it seems like after every playoff game in any series, the other fan base is complaining about officiating, and that gets on my last nerve. But for this particular call at the end, it was admitted in the review that there should have been a foul called, and Tim Hardaway Jr. would have had 3 free throws down by 1 with no time left on the clock with a chance to win. That's why that one really stings. And for the record, Tim Hardaway Jr. is an 82% free throw shooter in the regular season, 68% in the playoffs. So I'm not saying that they're gimmies, but I think it was at least a gimme that he would make 1 out of 3 to get them into overtime. Yeah. And that's why the refs, even though it's not the whole story, it's part of the story. Another thing, though, that I want to do, and I know we'll get to Cade, like I've been doing often during this series, Cat and Brunson, I just got to tip my cap. Yeah. Some of the shots they were hitting, that go-ahead 3 by Karl-Anthony Towns is just insane. And to put this stat out there, did you know that Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson shot a combined 9 of 14 from behind the arc?
Yes.
That is just...
Jalen Brunson had 15 points after getting injured.
Hold on, and that's where I wanted to be able to highlight some things. And I see L in the chat says they don't get to feel robbed. They played themselves out of it. It is the players' fault and nobody else's. I still love the team and will root for them next game, but stop the cap about the refs now.
There we go.
And that's where, for me, I'm just like, okay, they have to feel robbed on it. So look, the Detroit Pistons are playing up to a level of competition right now. That's what they're doing, shorthanded. That's the reality of it. And we saw what this series actually came down to when Jalen Brunson was gone and the Knicks had 1 star and the Pistons have 1 star. And what was it? The Pistons were trouncing them at that point in time, and it looked like they were going to run away with it. And when Brunson comes back into that game and you're putting 2 stars out there on the floor who have had their way all series, there's been nothing they've been able to do to stop them. Have they been able to slow them? Yes. And based on what the Knicks have done adjustment-wise, the slowing down that we thought we did of Karl-Anthony Towns had more to do with whatever the Knicks adjustments were or weren't in that one game. And because everything else around it has been Karl-Anthony Towns getting what he wants within the flow of it. It's including that logo 3. I've been talking about how they've been pushing them further up, further away from the 3-point line. He didn't care on that one. He let it fly, and that wound up being the difference with like 31 seconds left in the game. Crazy. That was the last points of the game, and that wound up being your game winner. There are things, though, within these vacuums from game to game the Pistons could have done to win, but the Knicks exploited their weaknesses, and they did a darn good job at it. Without Stu there, it really presented a lot of issues for them in the paint, and it once again dealt with foul troubles. Tobias Harris, what was it? It wasn't just Jalen Brunson coming back, but Tobias Harris being in foul trouble. Those were, do you understand how big of a swing that is? Tobias out, Jalen Brunson in. That was huge for them. And that's where I understand people's frustration because they still had it in their hands. And that's where, in the maturation of a player like Cade Cunningham, as he continues to now learn throughout these playoffs and then hopefully learn in the offseason from everything that he's going through, that this is a guy who comes back next year and is even better than he was this year. But right now, I do see a team that is battling and fighting shorthanded against a squad that is a lot more stacked and being led by those stars a lot better than a lot of people want to give credit to. This wasn't a situation where the Pistons just cost themselves. Bro, the Knicks are going out there and actually hooping, and their stars are going out there and putting up crazy stat lines, and they're going out there and doing it like they have the experience. I believe the experience in this series has been something that's been largely underestimated.
Yes. And
even I thought that the basketball of it all could have helped them. But when you lose a Stu, you lose that nullifying effect. Stewart helped to nullify, in my opinion, the lack of experience that the Detroit Pistons had because he made up for it in extreme top of the league defense, menacing defense, toughness, and he gets
nobody that can really contend with a Karl Anthony Towns. And Karl Anthony Towns, he showed up. Honestly, in the totality of the series, Karl Anthony Towns has been big time, and we can't deny that. I'm not going to deny it because I've been higher on him than everyone at this network. But at the end of the day, I want to talk a little bit about Cade Cunningham because Stick is dying for us to do that. I think there's a very nuanced way you can look at this, and I'm going to do my best job of presenting it, but I don't even have to do it. I wish I would have sent you the screenshot, but you'll just have to take my word for it. There was a post that we put out on social media just where it listed Cade Cunningham's stat line, which shows a lot of good, but some things you could work on, and said, is this been good enough? And there's an account that I actually like. It's called Big Dog Pistons. He's not the biggest Pistons account, but he's got a lot of good stuff to say. He said this statement, which I think is very profound. Good enough to win? No. Good enough for his first playoff series? Hell yes. And that's kind of how I feel. Because you can absolutely look at, in this last game, the third quarter, he was unbelievable. Probably some of the most scintillating Cade we've all ever seen. The fourth quarter wasn't quite that, although it's kind of ridiculous to expect him to replicate that in the fourth quarter, but he could have done more. He could have scored more. He turned the ball over at an inopportune time. He missed a very good look on that jumper, something that he would tell you he has to make. That's not good enough, and I understand that. And I understand that in the series as a whole, his efficiency's down, his turnovers are up, his counting numbers are actually really damn good, and that's all well and good. Cade needs to improve his efficiency. He needs to be better down the stretches in some of those games, but I'm not going to kill him for having some struggles in his first ever playoff series, because you can also look at the fact that he's the first point guard to go 20 and 10 double-doubles in his first four games since Oscar Robertson. Just Cade and Oscar Robertson. And for his first playoff series, I will look at that as good. If he continues to do this in future playoff series as the talent around him gets better and they're still losing and he's still turning the ball over and he's still shooting 25% from three, I'll kill him then. But for right now, I am going to chalk it up to a player in his first ever playoff series is having some struggles, but he's still balling out a good majority of the time. Has he been good enough this series to win? No. Has he been good enough for his first ever playoff series to show that he's not like a playoff choker? Abso-freaking-lutely. If you're calling Cade a playoff choker already, you've just got no perspective.
Yeah, and for me, a lot of people, they look at the turnovers and things, and I don't know if we all look at the games different ways. And me, I do try to look at this thing from a macro. The one thing we know is that the Pistons sorely lacked, and this is on full display right now. The New York Knicks are not at a shortage of playmakers, ball handlers. They don't have a shortage of that. The Detroit Pistons absolutely have a shortage of that, and it's on display right now. That's going to put a player who you look at Cade's usage this year. It went from 30% to 33%. Do you understand that since his rookie season, they've been trying to figure out how to get it down from 27%? Mm-hmm. It's now at 33%. And as you look at the percent go up of usage, you know what you see the turnovers do? You start to see their rate of increase start to actually mellow out. So as he's getting the ball more and more opportunities, he's actually not turning the ball over at the same rate. But you see all of his other stuff like assist to turnover percentage through the roof right now. That just is what it is. His assist percent rate per game, it's at a career high right now. Mm-hmm. And his turnover percent rate only went up marginally. So you're seeing, and his player efficiency rating across the board, it's just exploded this season. So this notion of the turnovers being this factor just as it relates to Cade being the thing that's costing the Pistons is so overblown of a narrative, and you can literally trace the turnovers to points or not points directly if that's what the metric you want. But then you also have to make sure you balance this thing on a scale of points responsible for. And I get it. For the player that's supposed to be the star, you want him to go out there and do his thing. But I do assure you this. If Jalen Brunson's out there and he's missing Cat, this thing becomes a much different series. And that's the component that we're looking at right now. We need Cade to be that near perfect star who is hitting the game winners that we even criticized LeBron James early in his career for not hitting. These are the things that we see in these young players' careers, and that's why I like what you said. He can't stay at this place. Mm-hmm. These are shots that you want to see him make, but in his first playoff series, it's one, and these are turnovers you don't want to see him make at end of games, being the guy. But the problem is highlighting is this. The need for a secondary facilitator in that co-star, that running mate that can help to lessen the pressure on what's going on with Cade. When he is getting blitzed, when he is getting double teamed, when he is coming off the pick and roll and getting into the lane and things of that nature, he's going to always have the attention and eyes on him. That's not going to go down. And if they don't find somebody that can aptly step up, and they've tried to, the problem is, okay, do you run him with Schroeder? But Schroeder is supposed to be the reason why Cade can actually sit down and get a rest.
Right.
And that's the issue that they're facing right now. And I don't believe that you solve the turnover problem by just saying, well, Cade be better. I believe that that this is a more or less of a strategy thing, and where at one point I was stating that the Knicks didn't necessarily have the dogs to make certain pieces, certain chess matches, and they haven't. Cat and Brunson have just turned it up. The Pistons don't have certain pieces to be able to really rectify or remedy what's going on with the turnovers from a strategy standpoint. And that's on what Trajan has to figure out down the road, but what JB Bickerstaff has to figure out right now, or else their season's over. So even if you don't have the dogs, you from a strategy standpoint, JB Bickerstaff, have to do something to manufacture better, more cohesive, and a fluid offense that's not turning the ball over at some of the most inopportune times. And these things are deflating them. I want to be fair to it, too, because people keep saying, man, this team just gave up a 10-point lead. It's like Brunson literally came back, and there was nothing that anyone could do with him.
And that's where there's also the nuance of, if Cade were more of a killer, he would have willed with his mind some of those Karl-Anthony Towns threes to not go in. You see what I'm saying?
No, it's not that.
Brunson
gets paid too, for sure. But
yeah,
but my thing is,
you are, up double digits late.
Fair.
You really like, you cannot.
Fair.
It's a playoff series. You cannot allow that to happen.
100%.
Flat out at home,
100%.
especially, you cannot allow that to happen. And listen, like, I'm not. Like, and shout out to Stick, because I feel like we actually got somewhere with our Cade discussion yesterday. And I feel like I actually got his true feelings about how he feels about Cade. And while definitely you can't blame Cade like completely. He does deserve some blame, but there's a level I'm willing to go. He deserves some blame, but there's a certain level that I'm willing to go with that blame. Because like I was trying to tell Stick yesterday, I think he was averaging 26, 8 and 8. I think it's like 25, 8 and 9 at this point. 1.5 steals before that. That doesn't just grow on trees. And then when you look at who's second in points next to Cade as far as the playoff series, you got to go to Dennis Schroeder at 15 points a game. So clearly Cade is missing something. And
they're not playing a lot together in the same lineup.
Exactly. And one thing that I pointed out in yesterday's game, I feel like the Pistons lost this game early yesterday. And that's kind of what's plagued them this whole series. Bad starts in the first half. And when you just look at like how their half court set is run, I worry about them because, most of the year they've eaten off of fast break opportunities and they've used that to set up the half court. But when you get in a playoff series where, yeah, you're going to get some high impact, running moments, but overall, this is going to be a slow-paced half-court game, especially going against a team like the Knicks. I just felt like they didn't have a lot of answers offensively early in this ball game. Now, did they catch up as the game went along? Yes, you got a better Beasley as the game went along. You got a better Tobias as the game went along. Schroeder stepped up in a big way. But ultimately, when you shoot yourself in the foot like that early in this game, and it's not just the half-court offense, it's also, rebounding. And I know the Pistons technically won the rebound battle, but in the first half, a lot of those rebounds were costly, especially giving up second chance opportunities to a Knicks team that was struggling, but they were able to take advantage of some of the opportunities that they had. Some of this can be, I feel like, pointed at JB Bickerstaff, especially some of the late game play calling, in terms of when you have the lead, what do you do offensively in the half court set? Because it shouldn't just be one-on-one basketball. I feel like, maybe in some ways they could have worked the offense a little bit better in those situations, but I just really worry about this team when it comes to a strictly half-court game, and especially the way they start some of these games off.
But that's why I said strategy, and that was why even midway through the season and before, I've stated I really want to see Cade be a point of attack guard. Yeah. I want to see Cade be a guy who's like, I'm going to get mine. And whether mine is scoring or assists, I'm not just looking at just trying to probe and wait for the game's rhythm to find a pace with me. It's like, just go out there and do what you did in the only game they won in this series. What was the difference in all of the other games? Cade was mean to start the game off and to even that series early on.
Yeah,
he was just, everything was to the bucket. You couldn't defend him, and that's where I'm okay with that being their half court sets and looks. But you have to manufacture those things.
Yeah, you do.
The problem is it gets difficult when you can't run them off ball as much. When he's going to have the ball in his hands, there's going to be a greater opportunity for him, as the lead guard, to have that turnover because he's going to have all the attention on him. Because who do you want taking the shots, him or somebody else? It's going to be Cade, especially in the series. What does everyone say right now? He should have hit that shot. He should have this. He should have. That's the whole point of it. And when you don't have a secondary facilitator, and I'm going to stand on this because I've been saying this since the man got drafted here. When you don't have that secondary facilitator to play alongside him and that scorer in the lineup that can balance out and carry some of that weight, this is what you're going to see. This doesn't spell who he is as a player, because I believe he gets better from here as a player. This spells effectively more or less a makeup of what the team is. And that, to me, is what I'm saying. That's where when you talk about, man, they're half-court offense, that's why I said this is a strategy thing to me. When I'm looking at this thing from the top down, they're going to have to strategize within their offense better. And this is where, what have they relied on without having that secondary ball handler to play with Cade? Asar. Yeah. He hasn't been able to get into a rhythm all season. That's what I'm saying. The Knicks, they have attacked this thing from a strategy standpoint.
Yeah.
Tibbs, you tip the cap to Cat and JB. I mean, Cat and I guess Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson. I gotta tip the cap to freaking Tibbs. He's doing some masterful things. And you look at the box score. Who did they work through? They worked through Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Josh Hart, who played the most minutes per game for them this season. Yeah. That's it. Nobody else did really a lick of anything. This was just their guys being, honestly, in my opinion, more experienced, more savvy. They were putting the fouls on. They were keeping the pressure on. Jalen Brunson came out that locker room and put complete pressure on the Pistons, and that's where you saw Isaiah Stewart missed.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where when he came out that locker room and Karl-Anthony Towns going off, that's where you saw him miss. Because I do often wonder, what would have Isaiah Stewart have been when Karl-Anthony Towns hit that last three?
He would have been up in his grill, and he would have had a very good opportunity to miss that shot. And you got to, once again, I said it on the watch party yesterday, you got to give the Knicks credit, especially over these last two games, for stepping up their level of physicality.
Tough.
Because, they have, it's been a dogfight these last couple of games. And when you just look at these games in totality, a lot of this is self-inflicted mistakes. I mean, 19 turnovers yesterday. This is now the second game in this series in which you've had 19 turnovers. And that's going to be
in the foot.
Exactly. That's going to be the story, especially late in games. And, this is where the Cade criticism, I think, is fair. The turnover with 37 seconds left, you can't have that there.
100%.
Say what you want, you can't have that there. And in terms of the maturation process on that last play, I told Stick, I'm like, I don't have a problem with him taking that shot because that is his bread and butter. That is his shot. He took it in rhythm. That's a shot that in the third quarter he was cashing in on. So I'm not mad at that shot, but could he have put the ball on the floor with a lane to the basket, maybe tried to get contact in that way? That's part of the maturation process, I feel like.
For a guy
you might have had a better opportunity
you
going
can't play
to the basket.
You can't play to
trying to get a layup.
You cannot play for the foul in that situation too.
No,
either,
but
though.
I'm not saying play for the foul, but he could have made the layup.
He
had
tried
a
that.
one-on-one.
He tried a couple.
And if you get
this
fouled,
is why
it is what
this
it
is why
is.
some of the turnovers are overblown, in my opinion. Some of the turnovers are him driving to the lane, getting hacked.
Right, and them not
Bro,
calling
I
it.
got the
get it.
picture. They
I
got
get
the
it.
one play of him going to the rack, and they call out of bounds on Cade. But when they actually showed what happened, Karl Anthony Towns was on one arm of
Yep,
Cade's, and I
seen
forget
it.
who was on the other side holding him back. They called that a turnover on Cade. That's why I say I'm not this whole turnover issue stuff. That's why I do level with you more on that. The down the stretch one, the
Yeah,
unforced
that's
error,
all, yeah.
that's on you, and you
Yeah.
cannot have that because we need every opportunity for Cade to go out there and actually have a shot at the rim. That we definitely need that, and that's why I focus in on who Cade was his rookie season and the promise he showed as a clutch and an in-time player. Yeah, he was top 5 in the league as a rookie. But he also had some other usage help that year, and Jeremy Grant and some other veterans who could come, like Jeremy Grant and I believe it was Kelly Olynyk that year. They carried the weight in the early starts of the fourth quarter, and Cade coasted, and then in the last 5 minutes, it was his show.
Right.
And that's what the stats do, show, and do back up.
Yeah.
One of your few rookies to do that. But what I see right now is this. I remember it. I see all the Knicks fans, and sometimes I just have to just sit there and just kind of just bite my lip
take it.
because
Yeah.
they're saying the same things I was saying about early LeBron James. And it was fun when our 04 Pistons were beating up on them.
Yeah.
It was fun when our 04 Pistons was showing them the ropes. And I remember saying, he missed the shot. He didn't even take the shot. Look at his turnover. He's supposed to be the king.
Right.
Trust me, I was the stick of LeBron James. And so now, I see this with Cade, and I'm just like,
Kool-Aid.
okay.
Yeah.
Kool-Aid.
Okay.
Kool-Aid.
Here we go.
What up, though, stick?
I love you, man. But now he's LeBron James. Like,
I like
No,
what
no,
Cade.
no.
I like what Cade Cunningham is doing. I'm not saying that he's LeBron James, but as it relates to being a star in his 4th season, he's going to be All NBA. He's
Yep.
putting up stats that only guys like LeBron James and Jokic does. He definitely. I'm going to say the ceiling isn't to try and wind up less than. I expect Cade Cunningham to launch for superstardom.
okay, and let's throw away 6 of his turnovers. I'll give you 6 with all your fun stats of them leading to points. With 37 seconds left in the game,
Yes.
your superstar has the ball in his hands. Your team is up 1. Potential to go up 2 scores or at least 3 points or at least get a shot off. Dude does a crossover, slow, methodical, Cade pace basketball, which we've all come to love. Defender reaches in, slaps it off his leg for the 2nd or 3rd time in the game, almost the exact same turnover. So the analytics are great on the other 6. That kills you, bro.
It does.
That turnover absolutely kills you. And what it did, not only did you not even get a chance to get a shot up, they were able to go take the lead, and now you're stuck with a turnaround jumper or whatever he shot, the fadeaway, with 8 seconds left. So, when your superstar gets 2 chances within 37 seconds to impact the game and he doesn't do it, it's fair to criticize, no matter if he put up 100, 50, and 50.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. You criticize them. You want them to be perfect. I want all my players on my teams to be perfect. The
I
problem
just
is
want him to bat a 500
is-
in that scenario. I didn't need perfect.
I know, but
I
that's
just need not a
unreasonable.
turnover
I don't.
or a made
I can
shot.
go through a bunch
One
of
the two.
stars at the start of their careers. I can go at their first playoff runs. We can see what the stats actually say these players are. And Cade is going to be one of those guys really on the top end of that in terms of playoff performances in their first seasons and just in general. The stats are what they are, and this team has had an opportunity realistically to be up 3-1 in this series because of what Cade Cunningham is doing. Yes, you can criticize him,
But
and
they're
we all
also
criticize
down
him. You
because
want
of what
Cade,
he did.
You want Cade Cunningham to be better in those situations. That is always going to be
Because
the
those are the only
precipice.
situations that matter.
I don't know. I can go to any point in that
What do you mean,
game and
he
say
hits that
Asar
shot,
Thompson
he
needs
does
to play
that,
better.
he's a
Malik
superstar.
Beasley needs to hit one more three.
Right.
They left Karl Anthony Towns open for the logo three.
It doesn't
There's
matter.
a lot of
He
that
had
was the game
ball
winner.
in his
It
hands
does
twice to seal the game.
Yeah,
Twice.
No one's
it doesn't
arguing
matter
that.
what Karl
He has to
Anthony
be better.
Towns did. It doesn't matter what Brunson did.
It does, 'cause
He
they're
had the
stars.
ball, Kool-Aid. You gotta look at him. I don't care what the defense was on the other end, which also he's 1/5 of.
Yeah, he
Well,
needs to be better. But I'll throw it over to you real quick.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
when
yeah.
I
Like, I
look
love
at
the 4 blocks. I love the third quarter. That's what I want.
My
but he
thing
just
is
doesn't
this.
give it consistently
he
enough.
needs to be better to make a shot to have a chance to win a game that he's the reason why they were in that position to win. They overcame a lot of obstacles because of him. Yes, and they could have overcome the biggest obstacle even more because of him. For me, it's about the weight that you're putting on, the blame. He had an opportunity to erase.
But that comes with the role.
He had an
You
opportunity.
can't say I'm the man and then
He
be
had
like,
an
well,
opportunity-
there's a lot of weight.
No.
That's a lot of
Who
weight.
said- but no one's saying that. You're kind of just straw manning things. What I'm stating is he needs to be better. But when you look at the aspect of what players have done in this league, stars or not, the percentages are not on any of their sides as it relates to these in-game situations. We talked about this with Kobe early. We talked about this with KD early. We talked about this with LeBron
that's fine.
early.
You can
we
accept
talked
it
about
with
this
that
with all
and
these
hope
guys.
he becomes
and we
that.
aptly criticize them. But at
there's
what point in
also
time does it
Gilbert
borderline
Arenas who
on
had
just
issues
like
with that.
obsessive hate?
There's other players who started out not being able to close and ended up not being able to close. It's nice to list the guys who are the elite of the elite and be like, he's on pace. But there's also
But who
a lot
are those
of
guys,
that miss
though?
those
If we're gonna criticize them,
opportunities,
then who is the
And
standard
when
that we're comparing them to?
When greatness presents itself, you want your superstar to grab it.
But
who's
yeah,
doing
go
that?
ahead.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so who are we comparing
Anthony
him to?
Edwards.
Okay, but this isn't his first
almost
playoff series.
6
It's
hours
not his first
after.
playoff series.
That's the thing.
It's not his
Stick.
first playoff
Let me
series.
let me just say this
But,
because
you can list excuses all day.
I'm not
but-
listing excuses.
But
You're
that's
not
the
listening,
difference between superstar
You're saying he's
and
supposed to be
someone that's
better
still
than
trying to get
everybody
there.
else, and that's okay if that's your standard for him. But it's also very
That's
unrealistic.
not your standard for him?
To what? To be the best basketball player of all time?
No.
I don't know if that's where he's trending
to make big plays in big moments.
Yes, but I did not.
Okay.
This is also his first playoff series, brother.
So that means
We
he's
criticize
exempt
him
from
and we tell
making
him he
big
gotta
plays
get
in
better.
big moments.
We criticize him and tell him to get better.
yeah.
That he's the reason why we have the opportunity to have these conversations. If he's not here, we're not having these conversations right now.
That's a big fact.
That's just the reality of it. And that's my thing. This guy has had the turnovers and has had these moments throughout the season, but he's also had good moments throughout the
Yeah,
season
no
as
one's
well.
debating that, but the
They won
regular season means
44.
nothing.
That's
You know
not
that.
true though. That based off of
For
last
this
year, that's the
team,
thing.
it's
It does
not.
mean
It
something.
does mean something. We
Like-
bumped our gums over a 9-8
right.
Detroit Lions season.
Before the series,
I heard
you guys
people that
were
didn't
pounding
have
your
anything to
chest
do
saying
with
they're going to
playoffs.
beat the Knicks, and now it's just like, well, it's
No. Nobody would have stated that the Pistons were going to beat the Knicks if we knew that Isaiah Stewart wasn't going to be a factor. My first question
So
to
many
JB,
ifs,
my
man.
first question to JB Bicker's staff, literally for media availability, was literally about Isaiah Stewart. It was about Isaiah Stewart. That's the whole point of it. And they had plans to be able to, since he finally played a career low minutes, but a career game high, and he had a career high in games played and career highs across the board with efficiency and defense, they had plans to turn it up. They lost that after literally in the middle of game one. I'll speak for me. And I don't know about you, Stick.
I just
I'm
like
not
Devon
picking the
Ice. He
Pistons
gets
to defeat the New York Knicks without Isaiah Stewart there. He was supposed to be one of your biggest factors in this series.
And that's cute that you can fight with those narratives, but the fact is,
It's not cute,
with
it's a factor. Does
37
Isaiah Stewart matter or not?
The fact is, with 37 seconds left in a game 4 to tie up the series, your superstar had 2 opportunities. With or without Isaiah Stewart, with or without a good regular season, all the things you want to pile on top of 37-second span of yesterday's game, it doesn't matter. That moment is all that matters. And
But
it
that's
went 0 for 2. And Flannel Sam,
No,
if a Tiger went 0 for 2 in big-time situations, you'd be here saying you'll cut off your arm for the next time they get a hit.
Well, that's a different situation.
Not as a
How
rookie
is it a
in
different
first big
like,
situation.
Okay, you
Nah.
guys give them all the passes in
No,
the
no,
world.
no.
I'm going to
No,
hold them
but
Who
accountable.
gave him
we
a
can
pass?
have a nuanced conversation.
Who
if
gave
you
him a
just
pass?
listen.
Though? No one's giving him a pass.
It is
more
a
than that,
pass.
though.
Who
No, it's
gave
not
him
a pass.
what pass did I give him?
I said
Did he
he
perform like a superstar yesterday?
Okay, here's the thing, Stick.
Yes,
let me
I've
just,
seen superstars do that. I have. I've seen the best of the best in their prime do exactly what Cade did yesterday, and that's the reality.
Double, man.
Was he the best point guard in the game yesterday?
No. He was not.
but
Jalen Brunson was. He's
how's
helped
he
to
the
change
best
their
point guard
narrative.
in the league and the All NBA, like you guys have been
So
saying.
you don't
he
think
is
he's all
All-NBA.
NBA now? Like not even third team? Is that what you're saying, Steve?
I didn't vote him
that what you're
You guys were saying
all-star.
first. Come on, let's not do this, Flannel.
My ultimate one was
Do you
second.
respect
I said
Marjay
second.
Spears? And I
Yeah.
can take you down a long list of the respected
That's
journalists
just
that
the
started
thing.
the
I've been telling
conversation.
y'all to dial it back because he's not quite there yet all season.
All-NBA
it comes
second
to
team.
fruition in front of your eyes with the turnovers and
It
with not
didn't
being
come to
able to
fruition in
close.
front of my eyes.
It did.
It didn't.
The turnover cost him the game, dude.
That did. It did. It hurt them. The three, leaving Karl Anthony Towns,
No.
cost them the game.
They don't have
that
that
did as well.
opportunity if you don't.
The way they started cost
The
them
way they
game as
started
well.
cost them the game. Losing
Like,
Stu hurts them in this.
It is.
Jalen Brunson getting hurt was the reason why they even had the opportunity
It all
to
led
go up
to the
10.
moment where Cade had the ball in his hands up one, correct?
All right.
And he did what we've seen a lot of stars in the beginning of their career, in the prime of their career,
So
and
now
in the end
just
of their career
stars,
do
that's
sometimes.
what they do. They turn the ball over.
No,
That's what
Stick,
stars do.
you have no perspective is
Some
the
of them
problem.
have.
What are you talking
You're
about?
asking us to kill and crucify
I'm not
Cade.
saying kill him. I'm just saying walk it back a little,
Walk
fellas.
what back?
he's
He's a
was-
star, and he's all NBA in this series right now, and why they have been competitive. Those are facts, no matter any aspect of criticism. Hey, Cade, you should not have the turnover. You shouldn't hit the shots. That's easy to do. Very easy to do. It's not the reason why this team has blown through every expectation that a lot of people set this year, and it has a lot to do with what? They're only all-star and they're only all-NBA representative. That's just a fact.
And these
All I
last
want
two
is for him
games
to
showed
be-
you they're not a complete product.
They're
All
not.
I
That's
want
just
is
what
for
it
him
is.
to be everything you guys told me he was going to be. And
And I
Look,
still
this
think
is
he
the
is.
town
He had
of
an
because this is the
opportunity
town
last
of
night.
they will
He is that, but it's
crucify
part
a
of the
GM
maturation
for
process,
team
bro.
makeup. How many times do we hear people bump their gums about, wow, look at what Trajan Langdon has done to just spark a little bit with this team. Look at what he's done. He brought in the right types of guys. Now all of a sudden that argument's out the window while we're playing a team that has more of those guys on it. They get the benefit of that. The Knicks get the benefit of being able to have 2 MVP candidates. They get the benefit of having one of their guys have an off night and still have one of their stars go. Cade doesn't get the benefit of anything but just go beat a dog every single night.
got the
And if
benefit of a superstar
Cade
taking over
in
in
that
the
high of a
fourth quarter.
usage just so happens to
what-
in a 6-3 matchup have this team seconds away from 2-2. If he just so happens to falter, I guess I don't know what you want us to do. We will criticize him. But the aspect of kind of being this avalanche of hate on a player who really
It's not
stepped up
avalanche
his
of
game
hate,
this year is
but
crazy.
you saw the juxtaposition right before your eyes. You saw Brunson and Cat absolutely assert their dominance, and you saw your superstar
They're experienced
crumble.
and older. Look at Jalen Brunson's first 4
Jesus,
years.
you
Look
got
at
an
Jalen Brunson's
excuse for
first run in
No,
the
no,
playoffs.
no. Stick. Every
Look at Jalen
single
Brunson's
star
first 4
ever,
years in the league.
besides for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, had some warts in their first playoff series. It happens.
That's great, but he had an opportunity
Okay.
last
What was
night
Brunson
to
doing
shed
in his
those
first 4
warts and
years of
become-
his
and put
career?
his staple on this fucking
Okay,
league.
What
fine.
was Jalen
Michael
Brunson
Jordan
doing in the
was
first
one of
4
ni-
years
one-
of his
one of
career,
nine
bro?
in his
I'm
first-
not comparing him to Jalen Brunson.
You just
I'm
did
comparing
though.
Cade Cunningham
You
and
just
Cade
compared him to
Cunningham.
Brunson and Cat and what they
Like-
did. So we can talk about it.
You're not allowed to cheer for him, Stick. I'm sorry. Like I
You
hate to be
just compared him
gatekeeper.
to him. So I'm just saying,
Yeah, you're
Brunson's
not-
first 4
you're not,
years is
man.
pretty pedestrian.
You have no perspective, bro.
Cade has never
No
had a
perspective.
year
You
as
guys
bad
are
as
so
Brunson's
hurt
first
by
4.
how that game ended, you can't even admit that it was a fuck up.
Are you kidding
We've
me?
all said that.
You don't listen. You
Say
have
that.
no
Say he
ears.
fucked up.
You got no ears.
It's an
Say
F
it
up.
then. No, you said say it.
It's an F up.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Everybody said that for
Good.
you.
But you want us to crucify him and say he
don't want
can't.
you to
Yeah, you
crucify-
fucking do. You're not listening to us, Stick.
I
You
just
don't
want-
listen.
I just want you to kind of walk up there and at least take the
Easy,
crown
Sammy.
off a little
Easy.
before
No.
he does anything.
No.
What
no,
the
no, no, no,
fuck
no.
are you
He's
I don't
talking
take the
about,
crown off
bro?
him. He
Yeah,
progressed
doesn't
this
have to earn
season.
anything with
He
you guys.
progressed.
Yeah.
He did
He
earn
didn't
it.
do anything
Right.
this season.
He earned all
Bum.
NBA and
Bum.
All-Star.
Bum. That's what he was this
He
season,
earned
Stick.
6 seed.
You are the worst. You have the worst takes on this network. You always have. You always will. And that's fine. You don't listen to me. If you would have just listened to me, we've actually had a conversation. We could have got
No,
somewhere.
you
but
don't
you refused
listen to me. I was trying to tell you about
Yeah.
this was going to happen all season long, but you guys wanted to put your fingers in your ear and be like, "Nope, he's a superstar. He's the best there's ever been. He's better than anybody that's ever played in a Piston uniform."
Nobody said that. Nobody
Spencer
said that.
did.
Nobody said that. Come
That's-
on.
that's
Come
the-
on. Nobody
that's-
said
he
that.
is
Nobody
the
said
best
that. And
inside
my
the
word,
person
he's
I
a
look
star.
forward
He's
to
trending
listening to
towards
today with a real take
superstardom.
is Neil, because I know you guys are just going to glaze your boy all day.
Neil's
Neil's gonna glaze Cade.
We've said Cade had an opportunity to win a game last night for the Pistons.
You need us to like crucify
This is the
him.
stuff
That's
that the Cade that I know, the conversations I'm able to have and have been able to have with the peoples around the way. I know that this is the type of stuff that's going to, especially if this series ends, this is the type of stuff that's going to eat at Cade Cunningham. Mm-hmm. The conversation you want to have, Stick, right now is a conversation I'd be more willing to have if this was next year.
100%.
And this was happening.
Thank
next
you.
year, I believe that Cade Cunningham will be the type of player that can elevate this team above a lot of the different losses they've had. And he almost did that. Mm-hmm. Losing Jaden Ivey was tough. And he still helped to elevate this team above. That 18-4-4 would be so, and that ball handling, because we remember, when their chemistry started to click, that was when Jaden Ivey was getting downhill and getting game winner opportunities. Why? Because all the defense was on Cade, and they had that chemistry working. And that, to me, is something that when you go into next year, though, Cade Cunningham, after his first season, I got to ask him a question, what are you going to work on? He said, you know what? It's crazy because coming into the league, I thought I knew what to work on, but after playing in the league, now I know. Mm-hmm. And he said this, I thought I knew what the playoffs was too, but now I know. So now you're talking about a certain level of work, a certain level of knowledge, a certain level of, bro, you had it in your hands. No matter what any of us can say, you had it in your hands, and you could have ended it. This thing could be, and it would have been epic.
Yep.
That would have been epic, and we know that. And so those are things that I know are going to eat them all summer. I know that.
And I would have been like Flannel Sam just cucking all day on him.
No, listen, I know that. And that's but that's why I but that's the thing. Cade Cunningham is still, though, when you look at his career, he has been the adversity, put him on the billboard for it. Look it up in the dictionary. My man's leg was fractured into shreds. They put a pole in there. He played 12 games. They've won 17 and 14. That's your third worst and your first worst amount of games won for the Detroit Pistons in franchise history. They went on a league worst 28-game losing streak. The draft lottery said, we don't really care about you. Now it's like, go out there and make something happen. And on the fly, this is what we were able to make happen in a season in which his player efficiency rating skyrocketed from 13 to 21, where his as a player rating skyrocketed from mid-tier to top 20. What we saw to the Detroit Pistons and everything, all the other successes around him, Cade Cunningham had a lot to do with that. And the type of player I know him to be, I do believe that especially next season, we're going to get even more of an upgrade of what Cade Cunningham is over this year.
It should be. That's what he has to do. And that's all I was trying to tell you guys this season is he's not there yet. He's not there yet.
If they push this thing back to Detroit, man.
The series isn't even over.
That's going to be. That's what I'm saying. We have time because they have pushed this thing to the brink, and it's been because of that. If the notion is just that shot, that turnover, or one more shot in another game, if we're to that point, that Cade is 2 buckets away from being better than even young LeBron. That's what we're talking about now. He's 2 buckets away from being better than young LeBron.
As a starting point for the playoffs.
2 buckets and a turnover.
26.
That's what Stick is saying.
And I'm $20 billion away from being Elon.
No, I'm saying that's what you're saying, though.
It doesn't matter.
That's the way you're presenting it. That if he would have hit these buckets, now all of a sudden he's a superstar.
Yes, that
so
was
he's 2
a
buckets
defining moment
and a turnover away
from
being better than young LeBron.
Into superstar status if he would have beat the Knicks to force a Game 5 going 2-2 back to the Garden where they already stole the game. The narrative would be completely different, and you know that, and the opportunity was pissed away. And the fact that you guys are just like, well, that's okay. It was a good season, and he put up good stats.
Oh no! I think they still got a great chance. I would put this on
championship.
I still think they have a chance. I still believe that because they fought this whole series.
In the first round are okay.
But Stick, you acknowledged that yesterday that this isn't a complete product.
It's not. But I also said the only acceptable loss would be a Game 7 loss. Didn't I?
But that's your standard. That's okay.
I don't know.
Because that's where they'll learn something. At least they'll learn something in a game.
You don't think they learned something now?
The only thing they've learned now is what the playoffs look like.
You don't think they learned something right now?
That's it.
I don't know. No. Cade now knows what it feels like.
Learned something from this.
And Cade,
they learned what playoff intensity is now.
I believe Cade knows what it feels like to have real pressure on you. He thought the real pressure was getting to the playoffs before.
They didn't learn how to maintain leads. They didn't learn how to value the basketball. Like, there's a lot of things. If they go down 4-1, it now becomes a nice playoff appearance. But what did they learn? What did they push to the brink? Where was the improvement? Because, KG, you were with me yesterday. Did you see regression Yes, we all saw regression in that first half. That's how this team was shooting and playing
Yeah,
early.
but that's the whole team. Though,
So
across
this
the board.
is
It's
why
not
like,
just
I
Cade.
think it's just because I have a higher standard for these guys than you do. I think it's when I watch a playoff team like a young team like this, I want to see them battle tested. I want to see them learn
a young
learn
playoff
how
team?
to close
Like who,
basketball
though?
games.
Who are the
If
young-
you're up
who are the young
11
players?
in your barn
Cade.
at home? Cade needs to learn how to close that
But
game
it's
out.
just him,
Last
though.
night he didn't learn.
I
he
think-
learned how not to.
No, I think the notion of this being a young team is overblown. It's largely overblown. It's really just Cade, Asar foul trouble, and nobody else. Jalen Duren, let me not forget about him, who has put up some decent rebounding numbers and has been at least a presence in the paint. But this is not necessarily a young team. If you got Ivy there and you got Asar actually able to play the game, then you're talking about this. This is boiled down to they're not going to get anything out of Asar because he can't play because they're not going to let him. And it's just Cade. What can you give us? As long Uncle Tobias is here, we got Uncle Tobias. We might get a shimmy or two from Malik Beasley. We might. The recipe to
if
get
KG
here.
has anything to say about it?
Right, yeah, I tried, bro. I tried.
Did
to
you
listen.
see
Yeah.
Jesus
He came back
yesterday
alive.
raise Beasley from the dead?
Man,
Did you guys see that?
Look,
Hey,
Right
shout
before
out.
Beasley went on his 3 streak, KG did a prayer in the studio,
goodness
and
gracious.
it worked.
It did work, but I'm just
Shout
saying.
out.
But
It
Just
worked.
one man.
The timing
once
was
again,
impeccable.
the team as a whole is down, man, in this playoff series. And like I was trying to tell you yesterday, Stick, for a starting point for Cade Cunningham as far as his playoff career to be averaging almost a triple-double, 25 points, almost 26, 8 boards, 9 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks as a starting point, he's absolutely going to get better from here.
Yep, and like I said yesterday, I don't care if he averaged 2, 2, and 2 as long as they got the win. So take your stats, enjoy them.
one of the things that I love
But
about
nobody is saying he
cute.
can be absolved
No,
of
but-
criticism. It's just there's a line. There's a certain level of criticism.
and that
you can
line
take as far
does
as
meet
can.
The line
his
is
responsibility. That line to me, there is an intersection between his responsibility as well as team makeup. When you even look back at the 04 Pistons, which were one of the most underratedly put together teams, think about their 4 guards, bro, and how well that these guys could all take the ball and do whatever needed to be done. And Chauncey, Rip, Mike James, or Lindsey Hunter, man, that's formidable. What are the Pistons guards right now? All they can do is tandem them right now. And what are their bigs? B-Ball Paul at one point in
There's
time
no
was like
bigs.
in the doghouse. That's it. It's literally Duren and B-Ball Paul. That's it.
And
And then when you look at the guards, that's where, to me, I look towards next season with an eye towards, I believe this team still has a great opportunity to go into Madison Square Garden where they've won, 3 games this season, and bring this thing back to a raucous Detroit where they've had opportunities to close out the game. And you hope that there's some aspects of this that Cade can learn on the fly if he gets that opportunity down the stretch again. But I do believe the Pistons, I don't believe that they're dead, but I do believe they've shown a lot to be happy for going forward.
They
really
competed
do.
in each and every game, man. And 2 of them, they really should have won.
I can't
Game 1
even-
and Game 4, they really should have won.
I can't even imagine if Cade literally had like a co-star, a running mate in this
Sharon
series.
Jackson
it's
or
so
Zion
cute
Williamson.
watching
That's
you
the type
guys
of stuff
play
that's
what
pretty
if.
crazy.
Even Jaden Ivey
Like,
would have made
it's so cute watching you guys play What If.
right.
Like it's the
I
greatest
haven't
thing.
played.
You can do
Yeah.
this with every team.
I
of
think we
all
all do
time.
that. That's what we make our
What
bread
if
and
Joe
butter off of.
Montana
Right,
was
What's we
what
do on
if-
socials? What's we do on
What
our
if Barry
shows?
Sanders unretired last year? What like we can?
No.
What
I'm not.
if
No.
Grandma had
Those are things you
balls?
can't change. The what ifs we're talking about is what they need to do going forward. You can actually change things with Cade Cunningham in this situation. We can't. If we what if with Barry, you're not rewriting history. With Cade, we can actually have something to do with our future by what we're talking about right now. And we know that it's the same things that they're talking about amongst the Pistons front office is how do you get the right amount of help and facilitation. They said that. Trajan Langdon has been very open and honest about getting that number 2 next to Cade who can do more in that starting lineup rather than somebody that they have to just kind of flip-flop in tandem with for rest. So that's the component of it. If this was a notion where it was like, oh, man, what if we surrounded Andre Drummond? Well, we can't anymore. But with Cade Cunningham, guess what?
No,
you
Andre
can
Drummond wants
actually
to come
go
back.
and do
He's
bring
mentioned
him
it.
back. I would bring him back in offseason personally.
Yeah, but Mark Royal gets it. Stick just wants Cade to hit the game-winning shot with the ball.
Mark
in his
Royal
hands.
is a generational Cade hater.
He is. He is.
It is. I wish it was that simple, man.
Yeah.
Not
It is
everybody
that
is going
simple.
to hit the game winner.
When you boil it down, that's like what made Kobe great. He
But
rose to the occasion.
Kobe's
missed
shots
shots too,
percentages
though.
is
his
horrible,
percentages are
technically,
horrible.
like-
I think they might be worse than where Cade's are
Yeah,
right now.
like-
I'm serious. That's why I said when you
got credited
compare
as being a great
all
guy.
these stars, all these great players, these guys weren't. And
When you're
love
whooping
Kobe.
everybody's ass for 3 quarters, you don't need the clutch shots. See
That's what
Okay,
I'm
now-
saying.
all right,
But
go
remember what I
host.
told you? I used to say these things about LeBron James, and now
And in Kobe's
we have to
first
take
ever
the
playoff
medicine if it
series,
is
he was
Cade.
an 8-point-a-game role player. That can we at least agree that you can't kill Cade for one?
What was LeBron's
I'm
first,
not
first
killing
playoff
Cade.
series?
I'm
You are
just
killing
saying-
Cade.
No, I'm
Yes, you
saying
are.
I'm saying the last 37 seconds of that game is what I've been warning you guys about all season, and I saw it come to life, and it cost them going 2-2 back to the
But that's the thing, though, and that's why you got
You can tell me the third quarter is what you saw all season, and we can have that discussion. And what I will say to that is it needs to be more consistent over the entirety of a game.
All right, fine, but
Cade's played 2 good halves in 8.
well, this is where though you get your reputation because you weren't.
I don't
you were
care
you were like the
about
quietest
reputation.
person
I care about
during
truth.
You were like you were the quietest person when Cade was having a phenomenal regular season. They had 44 wins, and now that he has some playoff awards, you're the loudest person to be like, "You see, I told you." Come on, dude.
But that's how it works, Flannel. When
That's
our
not how it
opinions
works.
become true after everybody that's sitting in here told me I was wrong, I get to go, hey, you see what happened?
Yeah, but you don't even think
Kinda-
he's all
kinda-
NBA, and that's just not true.
that's nuts. If you don't think he's all NBA, you're
that
insane.
part ain't true.
Okay, but did he turn the ball over, which I said turnovers are an issue? With
All
37
teams
That ain't got
seconds?
nothing to do with
Kobe
all
do
NBA.
that.
Right, that's true.
That ain't got
so-
nothing to do with all NBA.
We saw our Pistons win a championship
But I don't
forcing
care
Kobe
about
into
all
that.
NBA. This is what you guys are so hung up on. All NBA, triple doubles. I want playoff wins.
Okay,
Yes,
fine.
we
you're
all
hurt.
Never
do.
in
It's
Little
their
Caesars.
first series.
No.
But
Stig.
if
The
they
reason
don't-
why I'm hung up on
it's
it is
their
because
first
when-
series, but they can't win one game at home.
I'll
and
tell you
guys
why
are
I'm hung
talking
up on it.
Once they return home, if
I'll
this
tell you-
returns to LCA,
Okay.
I can tell you why I'm hung up on it. It's because when Russell Westbrook was putting up gaudy stats, it was with a healthy lineup around him. Cade Cunningham has become the face of ethical hoops. He is the player that if you put
Great.
just a
I
little
hope
bit
he does
around
become
him,
the face, but he's
just
not
a little
yet.
bit around him, just a little bit more around him. That's where you're playing with dynamite. What Cade Cunningham is doing right now with the supporting cast that he has around him, I am telling you, bro, when you look at the stats, not just what we want him to do, but when we look at the actuality, Cade Cunningham is not far off from a lot of the other greats out there in the NBA, especially for their first playoff series. This is the component of it. I do agree with you here. Does he have an opportunity to accelerate the narratives? He absolutely did. And that's what I'm saying. This has to be something that eats away at his soul. It has to. This is a pivotal moment with all eyes on it. We all talked about this being the
Flannel,
series
what
of
year
TNT and
in Bryant's
ESPN.
career did he make the playoffs? Was it his rookie year?
Okay, fine, but he was a role player.
Is Cade 4 years deep in the league?
What about Isaiah Thomas? It was in his third year.
Yeah,
and
but
he
you
had some
brought
struggles.
up.
Okay,
you brought
fine.
up who you brought up.
Fine, but
you want to have all these equivalent arguments,
All right.
but you leave out nuance too.
Well, you
right?
leave out
Yeah,
nuance
like
as
the
well.
Lakers
Come on.
wasn't the fucking Pistons organization.
Well, that's the
How
thing.
about
Like,
that?
he was a
Like,
role player on that
fucking-
team. He wasn't
we
like a
went
big piece of
17
it. Come on.
Monty
different-
Williams, bro.
You guys can peel it any way you want, but the key is the guy's been in the league
It's season
for 4
3
years.
for him, effectively.
Number 1 overall pick.
Season 3.
Season 3, 3 years. Okay, 3 years.
He lost
Number
a
1
leg
overall
1 year.
pick. You at least need a playoff series win at some point.
Is he a bust?
At
No,
some
no,
point,
not
this is
by
year
any stretch.
3.
No.
Like-
That's what I'm saying. Jalen Brunson. Let's go back and look at Jalen Brunson's first 4, first 5, first 6 years of his career. We can look and see.
I don't
Jalen Brunson was
want Cade to be
pedestrian,
Jalen
bro.
Brunson, though. I want Cade to be better.
I want Cade to be better,
You
but I at
keep-
least
you
want him
keep
to be able to
dumbing
have
him
the
down to
success that we
Jalen
see Jalen
Brunson.
Brunson has had. There's tears to it though. I want if Cade can absolutely make the leap
When
to
was Jalen Brunson
superstardom
picked?
right now.
What pick was
if
Jalen
he can
Brunson?
go and be that right
Where was
now?
he drafted?
I
Where was
don't-
Jalen Brunson drafted?
I don't
What
remember
pick?
his pick. I
He
don't
was
he a
remember.
second
number?
round. He was second round.
Second
Oh,
round.
Yeah, he was second round.
so you're telling me a second-round pick took a little longer to develop than a number 1 overall pick, and I'm going to be shocked?
We can do this with a bunch of number 1 picks though.
Yeah.
We can do this with a bunch of top 5 positions. Once you're paid for it, you're paid for it. Cade's still
No,
on
I
his
think
rookie
there's different
deal.
expectations on a number 1 overall pick than a second-round pick.
Yes, there are different expectations. Once
Okay,
you pay
thank you.
Brunson,
At least
though,
we
the
can agree on
expectations.
that.
Once you pay Brunson, then the expectations are leveled off. You're not paying him for no expectations. You're paying him for the expectations. That is the reality of it. He will tell you that. The team will tell you that. That is what it is. I'm talking about taking your great players in the league and showing you where any of them started. You want your top lottery picks? Go and pull them year after year after year after year. I bet you, look at all of the lottery picks from this year. Look at the number 1 pick from this year. Like, that's all I'm talking
But
about.
evaluate them in 3 years, right? We're doing the 3-year comparison.
In 3 years, Cade became All-NBA and All-Star.
He's right where you
Look
want
at
him.
Anthony.
And 16,
what's Anthony
he's
Edwards
on
doing?
track, bro.
Anthony
He's right
Edwards
where
is
you
what,
need him to
4
be.
years in?
Anthony Edwards had a dog roster around him, too, when he came into the league.
Well, they traded away Carl Anthony Towns, didn't they?
After.
Right.
Right. Because
had
they don't.
Rudy Gobert,
This year,
Carl
I thought
Anthony
you
Towns.
needed 2 MVP
Did he play with Jimmy
superstars.
Butler
Why
for a
would they
little bit?
trade him if they had
I don't
him?
think so.
Or was that
did.
right before? That was right before. But Rudy,
And
Cat,
the team's
and
doing
Ant.
okay, right?
What are we talking
Is
about?
the team doing okay?
Who?
Minnesota.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
doing okay.
Okay.
And he's had some
Wait,
time to get that
he's
under his
grown,
belt.
though,
He's
like-
grown. SGA
One
wasn't what
extra
he was
year?
always.
1 extra year?
That's why I said I expect Cade Cunningham to take that leap. I said if by next year we're having the same conversation, I would be in more agreement with you. I've already leveled with you there. But I expect Cade Cunningham, and I do expect him to take that jump going into next season.
I do too.
But
But
that's
I wanted him to take it last night.
we
Can't
all
always
did.
get what we want, unfortunately.
We all did. We all did.
No,
bro.
you get
But
what you
nobody
got, and
absolved him
sometimes
of
you
that.
got to
You-
understand what you actually
You acted
have.
like nobody came up here and said, we all, before you came in, we all mentioned that. We didn't exonerate him. Like, but there's just a certain level that we're willing to go with Cade because he's a big reason why we're fucking here. And that's the truth.
And honestly, it just because I'm glad that we tipped the cap to the Knicks because what they did was they showed that there is an aspect of toughness they can reach with the Pistons when we're missing Stu. And they've been able to. When the referees, and even though the Pistons can battle and they can play, and you see them being in these games, I do believe that there is just a slight underestimation of what playoff basketball was and what it means to truly swallow the whistle. That to me is something that I believe is a shock for these Pistons in this playoffs. So when the Knicks actually decided, all right, let's buck up and play physical, I do believe that was something that the Pistons weren't quite ready for, and is what's kept them off balance offensively. The Knicks are sticking to them on the defensive side of the basketball. They just are. And they're crashing on Cade at every chance they can get because they don't believe anybody else is going to do anything. How many wide open threes have we seen Malik Beasley miss? How many wide open threes have we seen this team miss? A whole lot. And that's because, why were they wide open? Because how they crash on Cade. That's just reality. But you're right. When it boils down to, you got the ball in your hands, this is where you want to see Cade be better going into next season and going into the next game. Get this thing back home. Give yourself a chance to win a home game at LCA. So that Stick can, what did you say? You put the zipper on it if he wins a home game?
Oh, man, I had my Cade shirt on yesterday, I'll have you know. You can check tape. I had a Cade Cunningham shirt on.
KG looks
Listen, I
disappointed.
want the best for this guy. I want him to be everything y'all keep telling me he is. And I hope he gets there. I really do. I just wish he would take advantage. If you ever seen Tin Cup, man, there's defining moments in life. Last night could have been a defining moment. That's all. Just sad they missed it.
And he will
There'll
never
be
I think
other
it could
moments.
be even more defining
Again.
moment.
Yeah, and there will be more
I
moments.
think
trust me.
All-Star and All-NBA 6 seed after historic loss is a very good defining moment. And I think we'll see that later. Think about how much people said the 9-8 season under Campbell was a defining moment.
Right.
I heard Lions fans say that. I said that.
And
I'm not going
I'm
to be
happy showing up
inconsistent
in
now
a
within a
first playoff
playoff
series.
season.
Yeah.
Like, not, we saw the growth this year. This ain't even about growth. This is now, Cade is good enough that you better put something around him. 6 seed.
I want you guys to go back and watch the game day show that you guys put on for game 1
With Beef Stew in the lineup.
and tell me it's the same energy. Okay, how about
No
after
Beef Stew changes
How about
it for
they
me.
win after game 2 and then tell me it's the same energy? Because they did win without Beef Stew.
But if
Correct?
you go and you look at my keys to victory, you will see.
All right,
they're going
show
to
me the
discombobulate
tape.
you
Show
in
me the
these
tape
ways,
going into
Pistons.
Game 3.
That's
Show
why
me
I'm
the
glad
tape
I got
going
it in
into
writing.
Game 3. I want to see the tape. I'm going to go watch the pregame.
I have all
Game 3.
I wasn't on the pregame, I don't think, for game
I'm
3,
gonna
but I
check-
did
I'm
put
gonna
in my
check
own
the-
keys to victories.
I'm going to check the check-ins.
Hey, I put my keys to victories
All
out
right,
there.
we
You'll
got
see.
it on tape. This is not the same energy.
Without Beef Stew, it's never going to be. That's why he's the heart and soul.
I mean,
That's the truth. We all know. Stick. None of us are picking the Pistons to beat the Knicks if we know Stu is injured from the beginning of the series. Okay. Nobody. What was the whole narrative? We talk about narratives. The biggest narrative, one of the biggest narratives coming into this series was Stu frustrating Cat in multiple fourth quarters this year. Just is what it is. When you don't have that guy and you see Cat is a lot more special and a lot less soft. Still a little soft, but a lot less soft than a lot of us thought.
10-18. Where the
Yeah.
fuck did
we
this show go?
we were way over.
You just came and super hijacked.
No,
reading this
hijacking would be
comments now.
during your traditional hours. This is just extended content.
But you know what? I'm glad that we're talking about this because it's starting to feel like we're getting closer to first world problems.
I feel like you guys are coming around.
This is more first world problems than anything.
Finally coming around. Yeah. People want us to hug.
Oh,
Hug it out.
Wait, oh, I get it because for the first like 2 years here, this stuff was not on camera. No, me and Stick have been like fully yelling at each other over in the Lions Den about this stuff.
Oh yeah,
dog.
big fact.
Yeah, we
No,
having
that's
fun
a
though,
fact.
and it's we're having fun because
I don't know whether that's good or not. But
no,
it's a
because we
fact.
were also fully yelling when we had Casey right there in that chair telling us it was gonna be Cade. When we were down at Imagine Theater, my man Stick over there, Easy and myself sitting there watching. That's what's so funny about this. Easy the golf hater, Stick once more at the Cade. But those are the gentlemen I was sitting there right there with for the Cade draft, and we were going crazy. And I do believe this, Stick. Stick, he's gonna make you a believer.
I want him to.
I promise that.
I want. Promise me he'll make me proud.
Now let's get this thing shut down.
Be hard on golf too.
See how easy it is. See how easy it is.
All right,
Trigger.
go on, BD.
Hey,
Get out
see
studio.
how easy
It's ours.
it
It's
is.
ours. 4 hours.
I'm just saying.
Somebody's
You
triggered,
expect
They
I'm
both choked in the
just
playoffs.
saying.
You
That's
guys
so
admitted that
bad.
Cade
Just
choked?
saying.
I was like, KG
can't have
got
it
the
both ways.
BGs,
If
or
golf
he's
choke,
about to
Cade
throw a
choke.
bomb.
It's so easy though. That's all you got to do is say
KG's
that. I knew
face
he
was
gonna
like,
run back to
how
Mike.
dare you? No, I saw it. Lord, KG was like, I'm gonna say it.
I knew he was gonna run back in there. That's all.
Oh snap, dog, man! Shout out to the chat family too, man. Give y'all a little bit of overtime, and you know what is needed. We're talking about a lot right now. A lot went down over the weekend, and we didn't even really get the opportunity to talk about those Tigers. So I know we'll talk more about tomorrow. But you know what? One more. Let's go. We'll get this thing broken down.
Man.
Oh my goodness. I see the people in the chat.
Yep.
Hey, smash that like button, y'all. Run up those likes. We
Like
appreciate
cheese to
y'all
a
for
mouse.
sticking around with us, man. It's been Wake Up Woodward. Shout out to Matt Broder. Shout out to that dude, Justin, Summer, and everybody else who's part of the Woo Crew extended family. But we got KG, Detroit's number 1 draft pick. What up, though, brother?
Hey, y'all know what it is. Let's keep this shit rolling, man. We love our Pistons. We love all our teams, man. We gonna be good. Hey, appreciate that though. Appreciate
Send us out
that.
today with a prayer, KG.
Hey, I pray that Jared Goff is better in the playoffs. But we had 600 watch today. We absolutely appreciate y'all. One love. We out, man. We out.
Hey, we got. Shout out, Smitty just walked this.
Yeah.
That's my dog. We had therapy yesterday. We had. Thank you, Spinny.
Another Cade cut.
Thank you, Spinny.
Stick is the reason.
Willie
we
B
went
in the sound booth. What up, though, bro?
What's happening right here, man? I just hearing some good
Chopped
debating.
cheese himself.
Chopped cheese,
the
man.
Aki way.
Yeah, the chopped cheese, man. Now Detroit's chopped cheese for the Pistons, but we got hope. Hopefully you go in and take one for the Garden. For the Pistons. Let's, this ain't over. Let's go out there and take it from the New Yorkers.
Got to now. Hey, Woodward Sports MVP in the TD booth, JB Smooth, and the Godfather over there, Stick. What up, though?
Nothing. I'm just over here with my popcorn, just enjoying the show, man. Just enjoying it, bro.
The chats he's throwing up are amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to everybody that actually believes.
Hey, you know what? The vet of the squad, the vet of the network, that is Flannel Sam, man. Red Wings correspondent, all sports knower. What up, though, brother?
Hey.
I don't even know. Sam want to get his shit off so bad.
No. It's okay. It's okay. I'm good. I'm just don't. What a lot of you are telling me in the chat is exactly why I know Cade's already great. I'm just saying.
We're seeing it in real time.
Yeah.
It's just we're on the opposite side of it now. It's like, darn it. I'm going to tell my kids, like, don't do this to any of the star players. Don't bring these cursings on yourselves.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, y'all know me. I'm a generational LeBron hater.
Yes.
And right now, I understand it now.
Oh,
So I gotta
finally.
be fair.
I understand.
You understand.
You guys got to thank Stick for that.
Finally, you understand.
It's mutual.
Hey, look. It's your boy Brandon Dent, a.k.a. Detroit
Tried to tell y'all.
credentialed Pistons reporter, writer for the network. Man, shout out Spinny again in the back. Shout out to Travis, too, man. Travis, you crushed it, and the rest of the social team. And the shows. Like, hey, I love this network, man. I love you, chat family. Hit the like button. Have a day, you guys.
Neil, okay, everyone, get your shit and get out.